morning, as you may have guessed, is Youth Sunday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, we're doing things a little bit different. Our theme today is change, so, that seems legit. So if you will look inside your bulletin, you will find two inserts. The very first one is neon orange and blank. That is important. The second one is the rules to the penny war. This year, we are looking at taking our youth to the Montreat Conference. So to that end, we will be fundraising. Our first fundraiser is the penny war. We will split our youth up into teams, and we are going to draft you to be on their teams as well. That's what the orange slip is for. Please write your name on your orange slip. If your neighbor does not have one, rip yours in half and share. I will be divvying up the orange slips on Tuesday, and you will find out which team you will be supporting on Sunday morning when you come in and see it in the foyer. The rules to the penny war are very simple. There will be two jars. The jar for your team, you want to put pennies in. Pennies are positive points. The jar for the other team, you want to put in silver coins or dollars. Those are negative points. Whichever team has the winning points at the end of 4 weeks will get a prize. Whichever team does not will also get something. They may or may not enjoy it. In between, we will have weekly winners and losers. The weekly losers will get the honor of doing announcements wearing a silly hat. That way we can keep track of who is winning and who is losing at the time. Alright, so that is it for youth announcements. Now for actual announcements. There is only one. It is important. Next Sunday is the Sunday we collect for Fayette Samaritans, and with the holidays coming up, it is going to be a very, very important week to remember to bring your boxed goods and your canned goods. So please remember to support them. At this time, I would just challenge you to think about the idea of change and what it might mean to you, the ways that God may be calling you to grow by watching our youth and learning from them. I give you our youth. YouTube will never change.
Is it just me, or does she look a little anxious?
You mean the one back here, the one up there?
The one back there looks embarrassed.
I love you, Internet.
Maybe try the refresh button.
Yeah, probably that might work. Wrong place. Okay, that's working somewhat now.
When my dad had 7 jobs, it was a really hard time for me. It changed me, it made me more independent, and it just was really rough just having my mom and my sister. And normally kids don't go through that, and it was frustrating because I only had my mom and my sister. And you need a dad when you're growing up. And this is why we need more independent. I changed my school routine like my routine in middle school.
I've been in Scouts for as long as I can remember, since first grade, and I just recently got appointed the job of patrol leader. I didn't know what to expect. It's only given to the most responsible people, yet I'm one of the youngest people in the troop. And I guess the senior patrol leader just expected more out of me, so I would just give more in return, like play my part in the troop. I went immediately from student to teacher.
My biggest change in my life was on May 27, 2014, when the doctor came in and told me I was diagnosed with Graves' disease. That right there just changed my whole world forever. I remember thinking I was angry with the world, and there's a million other people on this planet, and why was I one person that this happened to? After that, my whole life just went upside down. I became very weak. I was having a hard time because I would go to the hospital every 2 weeks to get blood drawn, and I had to learn how to take care of my body and how to trust my body and to understand what it was trying to tell me as I was going through this process. I remember it was in my English class, and I had to write a paper. It was about how if the devil came and asked if he could take your soul, what would you give him in return? And mine was, I would take away Graves' disease. I do not want it anymore. It would take away without the surgery, and I can live a normal life again. But then in the paper it asked me if I could ever go back in time and change it, would I? And I said yes, because God gave me Graves' disease for a reason, and He put this with me, and I had not figured out that reason, and I still haven't, but I will, and I'm going to figure out soon.
So, when I first moved to Mississippi, I worked as a social worker. And I didn't particularly like the job that I was doing. So I ended up taking a job working in the psychiatric unit in the ER, which going into it, I was absolutely terrified because my first experience with someone with mental illness had been them breaking an IV out of their arm and then throwing it at me, which was not entirely encouraging. So, taking a job working exclusively with psychiatric patients in crisis was absolutely terrifying. But as I continued working through it and working with them, I began to be more comfortable. And I learned a lot about myself. I learned how to use humor and how to use compassion to encourage people to tell their life stories, and how to use it to encourage them to feel safe and make it an environment that people feel understood and set them up for success, for being helped. The biggest change for me was my attitude, and being able to find people in the individuals that I used to be afraid of. And it taught me that I'm a lot stronger than I thought that I was, and that I can handle a lot more than I thought I could deal with having thrown at me.
If you had told me 6 months ago that I would give up working and having the income that I was bringing in, I would have told you that you were crazy. But the thing about it is, God's call is always in us and is always reaching out to us. And so, my biggest change is that I responded to the call, and now in seminary. I went from being someone who was working, and now I'm a student. So I went the reverse role that most people are trying to do.
At this time, I would encourage you to bring your tithes and offerings to the Lord. If you have your name on your orange slip, now would be an opportune time to drop that in as well. And join us in singing our praises.